Just over a year ago, we embarked on an amazing journey to restore a beloved sunfish that is now known by the name sea egg. So, a little disclaimer before we kind of go further in this video. I'm very fortunate to hang out with a lot of people who are sailors and understand sailing and are very accomplished. And I just kind of tag along and have fun, but I'm definitely not on the same level as them. So my friend Sammy is a very good sailor. Her family has a keelboat that she can take out for sleeping over on weekends and stuff. She was kind of like, oh, we should get something smaller to have fun, and then you can also feel more confident, you know, getting to understand sailing and like being able to take it out yourself, etc., etc. Like we could co-own a sunfish. So that's what we decided to do, and just kind of get a small dinghy that we could whip around in and have fun with all summer. So that is the origin of sea egg. We saw an ad for a sunfish on Emu, which is like a local secondhand platform online. This boat was in some guy's backyard, basically. This couple had just moved into a new house, and the previous owners or tenants or something had left the sunfish like rotting in the yard. And he basically just wanted someone to take it away. And I have to say that Sammy was away at this point. My boyfriend helped me a lot. He's very experienced with boats. He lives on a boat full time. So I was very fortunate to have his advice and him helping me. So basically, yeah, he looked at it more than me. Like he was the one looking at it and kind of said, yeah, no problem, like easy to restore, like it will just take a little bit of fiberglassing and a bit of cleaning and a bit of time. There were 2 rigs in the boat. One of them was kind of just trash. It was all banged up and full of holes and probably wouldn't have worked. There were also some sails which were in bad shape, like very faded. One of them was basically just ripping apart because it spent too long in the sun. The blades were also there under the boat. It was a wooden dagger board and tiller. They were kind of, the varnish was coming off, but like they were fine. So yeah, we basically said yes and loaded it onto the car. This thing was heavy. And we just had the 2 of us, and we had my dad's car, which has a built-in roof rack, which was nice. But yeah, we put this thing on the car with great effort. It was also extremely rainy that day. Like I remember it just downpouring while we were trying to do this. And then we were just driving with this boat that was like bigger than the car all the way back home, like freaking out the whole time. But we got it there and it was fine. So the boat ended up in my yard, and then we started to fix it. So what were the problems? Boat had obviously been banged up, so there were tons of cracks in the gel coat and like places where it was chipping away and where even the fiberglass underneath was like damaged. So restoring this boat taught me about fiberglassing, which is great because I hear people talking about it, but I've never done it and don't really know how it worked until I was doing it collaboratively to restore this boat. The hull had a ton of spots that needed to be patched. So what happens with fiberglassing is you have to spend a lot of time sanding, a lot of time. But it helps when you have a circle sander, and it helps when you have the correct coarseness of sandpaper to make it go faster. It's very loud, like, and I was conscious that my neighbors were just hearing me during the day, like, you're there sanding, trying to get the gel coat, which is like the nice finished outside of the boat, down to the fiberglass. But you need to sand enough gel coat around the spot that you're patching so that you can do it effectively, because you want to patch fiberglass on top of fiberglass. You don't want to stick it to gel coat. So after you've sanded everything, the next step is to fiberglass, and for that you need the fiberglass resin and the fiberglass cloth. What my boyfriend told me to do was to cut out 3 or more patches that get bigger in size. So you're kind of like building up the fiberglass. You're doing a small one to cover the patch, and then you're doing a bigger one to like stick the spot that you're patching to the existing thing and like making it more structurally sound. So you're doing a couple of layers in this process. With resin, pretty much any type of resin, I think it all works the same way. Like you have resin and hardener, so like you store the parts separately and they're fine, but if you mix them together, they get really sticky and they start working, and you have a limited amount of time to position things before it's completely hard. You mix them together according to the the resin instructions. And then you kind of use a paintbrush to put it on the fiberglass. You stick your cloth to the boat, and then you put more resin on top and like do that in layers with your patches. After you're done your layers, you just have to wait for it to dry. But then you have to sand it again when it's dry to make sure that it's smooth and like not protruding past the gel coat. And then you kind of wipe the dust away and you paint it. And we just had like white house paint. I'm sure that you can do like a, gel coat patch on top so it looks really nice, but we're definitely not that fancy, and this worked well enough. The rig also had to be kind of put together, and my boyfriend helped a lot with rigging the boat because I've never really sailed properly. I definitely haven't sailed a Sunfish. I'll put up a picture. A Sunfish is kind of a weird boat, similar to gaff rigged. It has a mast, and then it has 2 spars with a triangular sail between them. So you have a boom on the bottom, and then you have like an upper spar that you kind of raise up the mast to make the sail open and up. And we had 2 sets of rigging. One of them was totally mashed, like I said, but my boyfriend kind of put together the other one for me. And part of that was we spent time going through all the eyelets and attaching it to the spars so that it would be fixed to the spars and all together. And we cut out tons of little pieces of twine to do this, I remember, and we burned them on the ends and then like tied reef knots to make them stay. And my boyfriend was kind of like, it's better to do this with zip ties. It's gonna be easier. It's gonna last longer. And I was kind of like, no, the twine looks so much better. But yeah, he's right. Like, zip ties are easier. After sailing it for a little bit, the knots come out quite easily, and then you don't notice while you're sailing, and then you lose the piece of twine, and then the sail is just flapping. Another big job was removing this edging on the side of the boat. It was this like metal edging that had been banged into the side with rivets, and it's meant to like protect the boat if it bounces up against something, but it was kind of coming off already, and it was rusting, and it was looking weird, and we just thought that we would replace it with something else. We thought that we would replace it with like a garden hose cut laterally. So first we had to remove like the metal parts, and we were doing this by banging it out with a hammer, but it was so old that like the heads of the rivets would just like come off, and then the middle of it would be stuck in the hole. And this was a problem because we wanted to use the existing holes to like attach a hose pipe to the edge with wire, like kind of threading it through. So this was a very irritating and time-consuming job because it was just kind of breaking apart. And it didn't even matter anyway because it came off almost immediately because it just wasn't really secure enough. And as soon as you started sailing and hiking out a little bit on the boat, you were just pushing against this like hose pipe, which is held in place with wire not very close together, like, it's probably a foot between each hole. So it just came off really quickly, and I spent so much time doing it, but maybe I got some meditation out of it. Anyway, all the parts were done. So we had a working hull, and we had a rig, we had our blades, we had this edging, and I slapped on the name, and we were ready to sail. Getting the boat to the water was a whole production in itself. I live close enough to the water, but like not really that close to launch a boat. But we also just thought it was a lot of effort to put this boat on the car again because it was so heavy. So this is what we ended up doing. And it looks very foolish and irresponsible because it is. We borrowed a dolly from a sailing club nearby, and then my boyfriend attached it to his bike, and we wheeled it down that way to the stairs of many in the town of St. George's. Yeah, we had our maiden voyage going down to this beach in St. George's, and it was amazing, and we were very happy. There were some problems. We were just restoring this boat like to be able to sail, but it was by no means great at doing that. It was functional, but it wasn't like perfect. When we went on successive sails, like we took sea egg to cut match, and very quickly the tiller and tiller extension broke apart because the wood was just rotten and like it couldn't really withstand the force. But this was repaired really quickly by one of our friends, which I was really grateful for, so we could still use it for that holiday. Also, yeah, like I said, this edging that I had painstakingly put on came off, so we had to kind of ditch that. I think right now the boat has 0 edging on it. That's still a problem we have to solve. The boat was amazing, but it was full of water all the time and so heavy. Another thing was we had done a very quick resin job to patch up the auto baler early on, but this was just completely leaking. So we had a really fun boat that was basically sinking and full of water inside and out. And more recently, we've been able to address a lot of these things, so she's in working order for the upcoming summer season and cut match season. Very nicely, our friends at Bios let us store the boat there. This is amazing because it's a biological station and it has an incredible workshop that has like whatever tool you need. They've kind of created a de facto boatyard. Like there's a lot of people in Bios that like to sail, so there's some boats there and some dollies, and we're able to borrow those and use their like launch spot, which is amazing for us. Yeah, basically Sea Egg was at the yard for a while on land while we tried to do some of these jobs that needed doing. So we went through this fiberglass routine again, sanding and fiberglassing and painting the top where all these drill holes were for the splash guard. Also put a lot of effort into properly patching the auto baler spot. So that's where we are with Sea Egg right now. We have been sailing Sea Egg a little bit like already in the spring and the summer. I've gotten a lot more confident sailing already, and all of her repairs are holding up really well. I'm also taking sailing lessons now to feel even more confident and capable of taking Sea Egg out by myself. My boyfriend also made a flag for the boat that says Sea Egg that we can haul up and like fly from the top. I've learned a lot of things from this process. Definitely learned a lot more about sailing and like how to make myself feel more confident sailing the boat. I feel happy and accomplished and proud, I guess, about learning how to do fiberglassing because I've heard people talk about it before. It was nice to kind of take that project on and see real results and then like be able to do activities as a result of that. So like fix up the boat and then be able to sail it because we did these repairs and it feels really good. I would recommend this like delayed gratification activity. There are more things to be done. I think the most pressing issue that we feel every time we go out is that the boat needs drink holders, like cup holders built in somewhere, and we're trying to figure out how to do that. We'd also like to replace the splash guard eventually. We have the old splash guard that came off the boat, so we just need to like put it in and drill new holes. I'm so excited to sail Sea Egg this cut match, and I've been wanting to make this video for a while, like reviewing everything that was done. So yeah, this is just the story of Sea Egg, and now it will be immortalized forever on the internet. Finally, I just want to say a really huge and special thank you to everyone who has helped with Sea Egg along the way. Sea Egg belongs to me and Sammy, so we're very emotionally and physically invested in this boat, but we couldn't have done it without all our friends. We've gotten a ton of help from my boyfriend, who's very knowledgeable about boats, and then a lot of our other boaty friends like Rory, Dom, Johnny, everyone else who has, sailed in Sea Egg or encouraged us or helped repair or given advice. Thank you so much because, I'm making this video, but I'm not the one with the most knowledge about this boat, and it's been a learning process along the way. So thanks a lot, and hopefully make another update video about Sea Egg soon when she's even more decked out.